coffee, join us, sit down, have a nice, do something while you're listening to us yap about certain topics. But with that being said, I'm Humberto Giles Sanchez.
And I'm Kate Robinson.
And hopefully, we bring you some topics today that, you might take interest in or kind of do some of the topic recommendations that we have for you this morning. Kate, start us off.
Yeah, we're getting here into the spring weather. It kind of feels like we're up and down, back and forth with the high 60s and low 40s coming in from all directions. But one of the great things about this warm weather and this time of year especially is it's the peak time of year to open a business. If you're looking to open up a shop here in the area, now is the best time to do so. And that's because it kind of allows you to establish a brand and get more people to come through your door thanks to that warmer weather. So here are some key reasons that spring is considered optimal to open your business. Is the economic rebound. Winter months are typically slower. People are staying inside. They're not spending as much money. But as soon as that weather turns around, people are on foot. They're downtown. They're wanting to check out some new things that may not have caught their eye enough to get them out of their house during the winter. So you kind of see a rise in consumer spending in the spring months thanks to that nice weather. Some other things is the positive sentiment. When you open a business in your community, you're going to have people who love and support you kind of come out and see that. And again, it does help that people have more of a positive outlook on things when A, it's warmer, and B, they know who you are and see your marketing efforts, see your hard work through all of that. And it's a great time to build momentum because you have all summer and fall where people, kind of want to get out and spend their money a little bit.
It's kind of funny that you say the economic rebound because I'll tell you right now, it is definitely during this time of year. I go out of my way, or not on my way, but I go out more often, right? And I go to the local mom and pop shops that, are kind of around the area. And every time during, later in the spring and kind of as stores start to open in the hills, I get so excited because I get to go and kind of support them out there. And I think it's really cool, especially, in an area like this, an area kind of like in the Black Hills where it's very seasonal, right? I think it's perfect. And this can really be seen during the spring around here. And I believe there are some new local shops opening up in Rapid City, if I'm not mistaken. And I think it's always happened. I think it's year round sometimes. But yeah, I think there is a couple new ones opening up soon. I'm not quite sure what they're called. I know I've seen a couple new ones. I know there was like a new coffee shop opening up, I believe.
I think you're right. We're gonna have to look into that and maybe talk about it tomorrow.
Exactly.
It's going to be a great time, especially kind of coming up later this week. We got temperatures in the 70s for the first time this year, so it might be a good time to go sit on a patio, enjoy a nice cup of coffee. Yeah. Some important considerations, before you start your business, if you're preparing to open up, is, the seasonality of it. Of course, like we just kind of talked about, is to align your opening day with days that you kind of know people are going to be out and about, a Friday or Saturday or Sunday, if the weather, a huge snowstorm is coming, you might want to shift it if you can. Right. Stuff like that, some industry trends, make sure the stuff that you're selling is, on brand for things that people want.
Right, and we're not going to sell mittens in the middle of
right, you don't want to be selling
summer,
some homemade knit sweaters right here at the beginning of March.
And kind of be, talk a little bit about small business. Do you usually go out during the winter and kind of, I know I go out to like the local coffee shops and stuff like that to get some warm coffee or some hot chocolate. I'm a big hot beverage person. Too, yeah. But during like the winter months, are you, when it comes to other like kind of local stores, do you go out usually during the winter, or do you go out more often during like the spring and summer?
During the winter I find that it's more of like a targeted approach to the business. Like I have an idea in my mind. I know I want to go to Black Hills Vinyl. That's what I want to do today. I go there, I get what I need, and then I leave. I go home. That's the extent of my outing. But I noticed during warmer months I find myself kind of wandering in and out through shops, maybe picking up some more stuff that I didn't know I needed or don't need at all, but found appealing anyways.
I'll tell you right now, definitely that vinyl, going from Vita Sana, the kind of olive oil store, out into kind of the vinyl store close by, that's usually my trip downtown. And during the warmer months, that just becomes a habit at that point.
Yeah, and there's the thrift stores along that line too. Yeah, downtown is a great thing to check out. But yeah, I'm definitely excited to see what downtown kind of has in store for our warmer months. Exactly. And speaking of
warmer months, people going out more, doing some more exercise. Some little tips here. If you plan on kind of exercising a little bit more often during the warmer months, keep in mind that you should probably avoid eating before you do that exercise, solely because it's not necessarily the best for you. So eating before is not the best for you unless it's, there's some exceptions, you know, first thing in the morning, maybe try to get that, or maybe even before dinner, right? A couple hours before dinner, 1 or 2 hours before dinner, try to get in that exercise, and then after, you know, once you're done with that exercise or hardcore workout, whatever you're doing, you know, kind of eat dinner before that, and then eat dinner after you're done exercising, doing that workout, or in the morning, first thing in the morning. Usual, you know, kind of, if you do want to eat something, kind of stick to a carb-rich diet, kind of maybe some yogurt, some fresh fruit, banana, peanut butter, stuff like that. Usually helps out, kind of get that morning craving out of the way. But after you're done working out, you know, kind of get those high protein foods. Stick to protein foods after the workout. Kind of helps you out a little bit more. I know for a fact that the average or the goal for some people, or the goal in general, should be 25 to 30 grams of protein for every meal that you have. Helps you kind of get those gains, right?
Right,
Per se.
yeah.
So, do you usually eat before or after?
It definitely depends on what time of day that I'm working out. I've noticed that when I get home from work, usually around 11:30, I am hungry, I want to eat a big lunch, but that's also the time that I also go and work out. So I've noticed that if I do kind of eat that lunch before I go and work out, I'm slower, I'm sluggish, it doesn't really feel good to work out. But I've noticed, like, if I just have Greek yogurt or like a peanut butter granola bar, I love these Nature Valley ones. If I have one of those and like maybe some carrots, cucumber, something like that, just quick before I go and run. I'm a runner, that's really all I typically do for exercise. But it makes it a lot easier. Like, the breathing feels easier, my steps feel lighter, and you're not just kind of weighed down by the heaviness of that meal. And then once I'm back, I wait probably a half hour, 45 minutes. I like to cool down, drink some water. I've noticed that if I eat directly after I get home, I kind of feel nauseous.
You know, it's kind of crazy that you mentioned that, because it is also kind of taking into consideration the type of workout that you did. So usually if you do harder cardio, maybe a lighter meal after the workout might work a little bit better for you. But if you do like a very hard core workout with weights and stuff like that, maybe a heartier meal, a nice steak might work a little bit better after that workout. But you know, in general, you have like an hour time frame, right, after you're done working out, to kind of have that recovery period. You know, kind of a fun little word that I learned a couple of days ago was anabolic window. So the anabolic window is that kind of hour between your workout and the time period that you're done, to kind of fit in that recovery period, fit in that food, fit in that protein that you kind of need to recover. And usually, you know, during that time, you want to eat, like I mentioned, high protein foods. And also, avoid eating during your workout, as accidents can happen. Accidents being, you might not feel so well while you're doing that workout. While you're running, you might feel nauseous, you might throw up, stuff like that happens. So avoid doing that. It's not the healthiest for you. But a sip here and there of a protein shake during your workout wouldn't necessarily affect you as much, but try to avoid like whole foods during that workout.
Right, yeah, there's a reason, like, what's that called? Pre-workout is kind of recommended before you work out, not during your workout. So it all kind of depends, you know, on your body and how you feel. But yeah, I've definitely noticed that waiting at least an hour before and after gives me like the most optimal.
Yes. Are you a big pre-workout person?
No, I have tried pre-workout one time and it made me feel so weird and I was sick, but I do drink like an electrolyte drink before I run. So it's like electrolytes, a little bit of caffeine, and it's vegan and all natural. So maybe that's the difference there, because I bought some just so that processed pre-workout.
No, and I mean, for me, it's just kind of same way. I just don't like the way it tastes.
Yeah.
I can't find a good one for me, so I just tend to avoid it.
And I'm the same thing with protein powder. I don't like any of that stuff either.
No, it just tastes too grainy, and I feel like I could taste it.
Yes,
at the end of the day.
Like,
well, from eating, you know, kind of paying attention to when you eat during kind of around your exercise routine, to kind of planning how you eat around your sleep schedule. So now we're talking about kind of when you should be eating. Should you be eating a little bit before your bedtime, or what's the time frame, you know, kind of before you eat here? Try to avoid eating like an hour before you go to bed. That's just a recommendation. If you don't feel good, it's kind of unhealthy to eat and I say it's unhealthy in the sense of like it's not recommended that you eat right before you go to bed. Sometimes it makes you feel uncomfortable, and it makes your body work a little bit more than it needs to, especially when you're sleeping and trying to get that good REM sleep. And kind of some ingredients that if you do, kind of want to have that snack, you should try to have something with nuts, seeds, kind of maybe some whole grains, some barley, buckwheat, kasha in there. Reason being is because those kind of have a melatonin aspect to them. They do contain some melatonin that kind of helps your body produce it, or sorry, it helps your body produce melatonin. Sorry, there you go. And it helps you regulate your circadian rhythm. So, if you do want to, keep in mind that it does take a little bit longer, so maybe eat those a little bit like 30 minutes before you go to bed. If you do tend to do that, if you do end up wanting to do that, again, avoid eating right before it, but maybe a little like an hour or two before you go to bed. Something with those can actually help kind of make you feel a little bit drowsy, avoid using that melatonin supplement as well. That's not necessarily the healthiest for you if you take it on a constant basis.
Oof, well, I'm a little bit guilty of that. But, I see here that even if you do eat that right combination of food, there is still some things you avoid. I know I'm also guilty of kind of wanting a sweet treat before I go to bed, and that sugar can kind of hinder my ability to fall asleep sometimes. So I've actually kind of started eating my sweet treat for the day in the middle of the afternoon, even having dessert before dinner, so I kind of get it out of my system and I'm not loading up on all those sugars, because I do notice that it makes me wake up like an hour and a half before my alarm, or I'm falling asleep. It takes way longer to fall asleep.
No, and I 100% feel that. And kind of something that's interesting is that something that I used to do all the time, and it was growing up since I was a little kid. My mom used to give me a piece of ginger, like right before I went to bed, and it actually shows that ginger is one of the anti-inflammatory kind of roots that you should be eating. I mean, it's not only healthy for you on a daily basis, but also it's healthy for you, kind of maybe getting you to bed a little bit. It kind of improves your quality of sleep. So, talk a little bit about, sugary, a little bit of a sweet treat. I know that ginger isn't necessarily sweet, but maybe incorporating it in something sweet could actually kind of help, if a good combination of that. But yeah, try to avoid those heavy foods before bed, helping your body kind of start to prep for bed, eating those kind of low, but kind of high in melatonin, kind of help produce melatonin kind of stuff. Regulate that kind of circadian rhythm, anti-inflammatory properties, ginger, turmeric, kind of improve quality of sleep, and maybe some fruits and vegetables also kind of help.
Yeah, fruits are also a nice sweet treat as well, and
try to avoid that, maybe that piece of that brownie or that slice of cake or something. Kind of substitute that with maybe some cherries or bananas, or maybe even a tomato if you like to eat tomatoes like whole. I know. One of my best friends from home likes to eat tomatoes whole, so I can't exclude that. I know there are people out there that do like that.
You never know. Well, eating well, sticking to a good sleep schedule, those are all habits, good habits to form.
How do you stick to that?
Yeah,
how do you stick to that,
exactly. It took me a long time to get my sleep schedule on track and my eating schedule on track, and according to research, it can take anywhere from 60 to 254 days to get a habit to stick. That, of course, kind of depends on how often you're sticking to this. Right when I first moved here and I was getting used to this early morning schedule, there were days when I would fall asleep at 6:30, and then days when I couldn't fall asleep till 10:30. And so it was just this horrible imbalance, of kind of getting my habits circulating in the right area. Yeah. So, some things that can help getting habits to stick are kind of making sure that you're not forcing yourself to do it. If, there's one night where you're like, oh man, you know what, I really don't feel like exercising today, kind of giving yourself a break and letting yourself kind of off the hook for those things can actually make it easier for it to stick in the long run, because you're not forcing yourself to do it and kind of giving it a negative connotation.
But not beating yourself up for it. It's actually crazy that you mentioned that, because I'm also I was under the belief until today that it took 21 days, because that's usually what you hear.
That's contrary to popular belief. It takes a little bit longer.
Yeah, and I was like, holy cow, that's crazy to think. I mean, my opinion is like, I know looking at that, it definitely takes a lot longer, but for some reason my brain was always set on 21 days. That's the magic number.
Yeah, I guess I'll just do this for 21 days in a row. But yeah, people say 21 days because maybe if you did it so consistently every single day for 21 days straight, that might help. But most people are a little bit less consistent. And so, you know, if you're doing something every other day, every 2 days, it can take a little bit longer to that 60 days and even longer to the 254 days if you're really trying to implement something completely new into your routine that really may be completely out of your comfort zone. Like, you never know what is going to happen, but, you know, take small steps to achieving. If it's a big goal, you know, kind of acquire something each week that kind of helps you reach those goals. Something I do, I write down my goals for the week in my journal every Sunday or Monday night, so I can kind of keep track of what's going on in my brain, in my life, and it keeps myself consistent.
And that's actually a really good point. You know, I know for a fact that for me, when I started, a big habit that I do now, right, is read before bed, and a big thing that I do, or that I did before that, you know, to get into that habit was maybe pick up that book and then read a chapter or a couple pages, and then rest on it, leave it for like a day, and then think about what I just read, and then go back to it, and then read the next chapter, stuff like that. And that kind of helped me get in the habit of reading before bed, and now I do it on a constant basis. And it wasn't, and again, like you said, you mentioned a big key is don't beat yourself up if you kind of skip a day.
Yeah.
Be kind to yourself.
That's right. Well, that is all we have for today. Thank you so much for joining us on First Sip.
Yep. Be sure to tune in tomorrow for your midweek weather update, and then on Thursday again for another episode of First Sip and the KOTA Political Pulse. We have a special guest coming in that day, so you don't want to miss that. But for now, I'm Humberto Giles Sanchez.
And I'm Kate Robinson. Have a good day.